You're safe now. We'll take care of you.
The rain strikes the memorial stone like bullets against armor, each drop echoing promises a nation once made to its heroes. In Liberty Park's shadow, a German shepherd lies motionless beneath the storm, his coat dark with water and neglect. Those amber eyes, once sharp enough to detect death hidden in shadows, now stare at nothing, clouded by memories too heavy for any soul to bear. This is Atlas. What you're about to discover will shatter everything you think you know about loyalty. Nobody realized this abandoned dog once saved 47 lives in a single morning. Nobody knew that those same paws, now trembling in the cold, had pulled survivors from burning rubble while explosions thundered around him. What happened next would prove that true heroes never surrender, even when the world abandons them first. September 11th, 2001. While America watched towers collapse, Atlas worked miracles. As the NYPD's premier bomb detection specialist, he possessed an almost supernatural ability to sense hidden dangers. That terrible morning, after the second tower fell, Atlas detected what his handler missed: a third explosive device buried beneath debris near a crowded shelter. His urgent bark saved 47 souls who believed they'd found safety. But the blast that followed didn't just destroy concrete and steel. It shattered something precious inside Atlas's mind, creating fractures that would haunt him forever. 6 years later, Officer Michael Thompson would clutch his chest in their patrol car, whispering Atlas's name as his heart surrendered. The last person who understood Atlas's worth was gone. The department, drowning in bureaucracy and budget cuts, saw only a 7-year-old liability with behavioral complications. Atlas entered Riverside Animal Shelter with paperwork that sealed his fate, unsuitable for civilian adoption. But destiny protects its chosen guardians. Detective Maria Rodriguez pushes through Riverside's glass doors, her shield catching fluorescent light like a warning. At 32, she carries herself with hard-earned confidence, someone who stared down killers and lived to testify. Her auburn hair frames determined features, and those green eyes catalog every detail instantly. She's here under orders, though she'd prefer facing armed suspects. Detective Rodriguez, shelter coordinator Janet approaches with forced optimism, masking deeper concerns. Atlas is in Kennel 7. Fair warning, he's endured considerable trauma. 8-year-old Emma bounces beside Maria, her backpack decorated with smiling golden retrievers and cartoon pugs, breeds that bear no resemblance to the warrior they're meeting. Emma's excitement about finally getting a dog provides the only bright spot in Maria's increasingly complicated week. "Can we see him now, Mama? Janet said he was a police dog, like you're a police officer." Maria's smile feels brittle. She hasn't explained the real reason they're here. How do you tell a child that Vincent Kane, the man who once promised to watch your family burn, was released yesterday? How do you explain that this broken dog represents their only protection against a predator planning revenge? Captain Morrison's briefing had been crystal clear. Rodriguez, Kane maintains connections to explosive suppliers through his old network. Atlas successfully tracked Kane's signature 5 years ago. "He's our best early warning system. Keep him close to your family. Consider it protective detail on 4 legs." The walk to Kennel 7 stretches endlessly. Other dogs bark desperately, pawing at gates, hungry for attention and hope. But Kennel 7 remains silent as a tomb. Atlas lies on his side, his massive frame barely fitting the concrete space. His breathing stays steady but shallow, as though conserving energy for battles only he can see. When Maria approaches, his ears twitch, but he doesn't raise his head. "He's been like this since Thompson's funeral," Janet whispers, almost like he understands death. Emma presses her face against chain-link fencing. "Hello, Atlas. I'm Emma. Mama says you're coming home with us." For the first time in days, Atlas lifts his head. Those amber eyes meet Emma's bright blue ones, and something profound passes between them. Recognition transcending species. Emma sees past trauma to the gentle soul beneath. Atlas glimpses past his own anguish to something worth protecting again. Mama, he's beautiful. Maria observes something entirely different. She recognizes a 70-pound variable in situations demanding absolute control, but orders remain orders, regardless of personal reservations. Paperwork consumes 20 minutes. The drive home feels eternal. Emma chatters continuously from the back seat, her hand resting on Atlas's head as he stretches across worn upholstery. Mama, German Shepherds can live 15 years. That means Atlas has 8 more years to be happy, and they're the second smartest dog breed after Border Collies. But I think Atlas is probably smarter than any Border Collie because he was a real police dog who saved people. Maria studies them through her rearview mirror, experiencing that familiar tightness between hope and fear. Emma has begged for a dog since her father disappeared 2 years ago. David had promised a puppy when things stabilize, but David's promises proved as reliable as his wedding vows. Their house on Elm Street offers modest comfort: 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a backyard perfectly sized for a girl and her guardian to find peace. Maria chose this location for safety, far enough from the precinct to feel like home, close enough for rapid emergency response. Atlas follows them inside, moving with careful deliberation. He examines every corner, every doorway, mapping defensive positions in his trained mind. Protection dogs never stop working. They memorize escape routes and defensive positions, even in sanctuaries. "He can sleep in my room," Emma announces, already dragging her pillow toward the living room. "Or maybe the couch would be better. Mama, do you think he dreams about being a police dog?" Before Maria can respond, a truck backfires on Elm Street. The sound cracks through evening air like gunfire, and Atlas transforms completely. His body goes rigid, breathing becomes rapid and shallow. He begins pacing tight circles, producing heartbreaking whimpers that confirm Maria's deepest concerns. "Stay back, Emma." Maria's voice carries authority honed by dangerous situations. But Emma doesn't retreat. Instead, she sits cross-legged on hardwood and begins humming, a wordless melody their grandmother sang during thunderstorms. Atlas's pacing slows, then stops entirely. He stares at Emma with confusion, as though this small human possesses magic to quiet the chaos in his mind. "He's just frightened, Mama," Emma says softly, "like I was when Daddy left." Those words hit Maria harder than physical blows. In that moment, she recognizes parallels she's been avoiding. Atlas isn't this house's only resident carrying invisible wounds. The first night passes sleeplessly for everyone. Atlas maintains vigil by the front door, alert to every sound. Maria lies in bed with her service weapon within reach, monitoring every sound Atlas makes. Emma curls up on the living room floor beside Atlas, her small hand resting on his shoulder, both finding peace in proximity. Outside, beyond their awareness, Vincent Kane sits in a stolen sedan 3 blocks away. He watches Maria's house through military-grade binoculars, noting the new addition to their family. His scarred hands grip the steering wheel, while memories of his arrest replay endlessly. 5 years ago, Maria Rodriguez had kicked down his apartment door, discovering enough stolen goods to guarantee imprisonment. More devastating, she'd found his weapons cache, his meticulously planned scores, his dreams of the perfect heist that would secure his future. She'd destroyed everything he'd built. Now vengeance beckoned. Kane starts the engine and drives into darkness. But he'll return soon. He's developing plans of his own. And Maria Rodriguez, along with everything she cherishes, will discover just how patient a man becomes when revenge becomes his sole reason for breathing. In the house on Elm Street, Atlas raises his head as distant engine sounds fade. His nose processes scents carried on night breezes, cataloging threats lurking at awareness's edges. Something dangerous prowls nearby, something that activates his training despite trauma clouding his mind. He's not merely a broken soldier anymore. He's a guardian reborn, and guardians never rest. Morning arrives with false promises wrapped in sunshine and Emma's laughter echoing from the backyard. Maria observes from her kitchen window as her daughter throws tennis balls that Atlas dutifully retrieves, though his movements lack typical breed enthusiasm. Still, seeing Emma smile makes a sleepless night worthwhile. "Mama, watch this," Emma calls out. "Atlas catches balls before they bounce." The display impresses, but Maria notices what Emma misses. Atlas positions himself between Emma and the street with every throw, his amber eyes scanning perimeters even during play. This isn't recreation, it's reconnaissance disguised as games. The precinct briefing turns Maria's coffee bitter. Detective Ray Sullivan slides surveillance photographs across her desk. Vincent Kane entering Murphy's Hardware on the south side. 50 pounds of fertilizer, industrial timer switches, enough copper wire to build radio towers. Sullivan reports grimly. Either he's planning explosive gardening or we have serious problems. Captain Morrison joins them, his expression darker than storm clouds. It gets worse. Kane's been reconnecting with old associates, rebuilding networks. Street intelligence suggests he's planning something massive for Children's Safety Week at Washington Elementary. Maria's blood freezes solid. Washington Elementary, Emma's school. The event's Thursday, Morrison continues. 300 families expected. You're scheduled to speak about community safety, Rodriguez. Kane knows this. Irony isn't lost on anyone present. Maria's speech about protecting children might become the very event that destroys them. "We need Atlas operational," Morrison states flatly. His bomb detection capabilities could mean the difference between successful community outreach and national tragedy. How's integration progressing? Maria wants to report perfect adaptation, seamless family integration, readiness for immediate service. Instead, she remembers last night's episode, Atlas trembling at backfiring trucks. "He's adjusting steadily," she says carefully. "Adjust him faster. Time isn't our ally." The drive home feels weighted with terrible knowledge. Kane isn't seeking simple revenge. He's planning mass destruction. His target, a room filled with children, including her own. Emma greets her at the door with news that Atlas has learned to sit on command and only knocked over one lamp during her absence. The domestic normalcy she's craved since David left feels like borrowed time. That evening, as Emma practices reading aloud with Atlas as her patient audience, the telephone rings. Maria recognizes the number, and dread settles in her stomach like lead. "Hello, Maria." David's voice carries that familiar mixture of charm and entitlement that once made her heart race and now just exhausts her. "Heard you got a dog. What do you want, David?" "To see my daughter. It's been 4 months. You want to see Emma every time your latest girlfriend kicks you out and you need somewhere to stay." That's unfair. Nothing about their marriage had been fair, but Maria lacks energy for relitigating ancient history. "Emma's doing homework. Call tomorrow." "I heard the dog has issues, PTSD or something. Doesn't sound safe around children." Maria's grip tightens on the receiver. Who told you that?" "Word travels, Mar. I'm concerned about my daughter's welfare. Maybe she should stay with me until you resolve this dog situation." The line goes dead before Maria can respond, leaving her staring at the phone with growing unease. David's sudden interest in Emma's welfare coincides too perfectly with Kane's release to be coincidental. 4 days pass in carefully orchestrated routine designed to help Atlas acclimate while maintaining security. Maria works shortened shifts, Emma walks Atlas in the backyard instead of neighborhood streets, and bedtime stories now include a 70-pound audience member. Atlas's episodes decrease in frequency, triggered now only by specific sounds, sirens, fireworks, the particular rumble of diesel engines reminiscent of emergency vehicles. But between traumatic moments, glimpses of his former self emerge. When neighborhood cats venture into their yard, he herds them away with gentle authority. When the postal carrier approaches requiring signatures, Atlas alerts Maria with soft warnings rather than aggressive barking. Most remarkably, he anticipates Emma's needs. When she struggles with mathematics homework, he lies beside her chair offering silent moral support. When nightmares about monsters under beds wake her, he positions himself between bed and door, standing guard until she returns to sleep. He loves her, Maria tells Sullivan over morning coffee. I've never witnessed anything like it. Dogs are pack animals, Sullivan replies. Emma's probably the first person in years who's shown him unconditional acceptance. No judgment about trauma, no expectations of perfection, just pure love. That afternoon, David arrives unannounced. Maria opens her door to find her ex-husband holding flowers and wearing his most disarming smile, the same combination he'd used to charm his way out of countless arguments during their marriage. Surprise, he says, though nothing about his presence feels pleasant. Emma appears at Maria's shoulder, her face lighting up with the complicated joy children feel when absent parents return. Daddy! Atlas materializes beside Emma, and the entire interaction's temperature drops several degrees. The dog's posture remains alert but non-aggressive until David steps across the threshold. Then Atlas moves between David and Emma with unmistakable intent. Whoa there, boy, David says with forced joviality. I'm family. Atlas disagrees completely. A low rumble builds in his chest, not quite threatening, but definitely warning. Atlas, down, Maria commands, though she notices David's reaction seems more dramatic than warranted. He steps back as though the dog had actually lunged, his face pale with apparent genuine fear. That animal is dangerous, Maria. Look how it stares at me. He's watching you because you're a stranger in his territory. You'd react similarly. David's visit stretches through dinner, filled with conversation that feels increasingly artificial. He compliments Maria's cooking, asks Emma about school, makes jokes that fall flat under Atlas's unwavering surveillance. The dog never relaxes for a moment, positioning himself where he can monitor both David and all exits simultaneously. When David suggests Emma show him her room, Atlas follows them upstairs. When David offers to help with dishes, Atlas plants himself in the kitchen doorway. When David moves toward the living room, where family photographs sit on the mantel, Atlas intercepts him with professional bodyguard fluidity. Seriously, Maria, David says while preparing to leave, this is unhealthy. Emma shouldn't live with an unstable animal. Think about what's best for her. After his departure, Emma curls up with Atlas on the couch. Why doesn't Daddy like Atlas? Some people fear what they don't understand, Maria answers, though she's beginning to suspect David's reaction transcends simple fear. That night, Maria can't achieve sleep. Something about David's visit feels fundamentally wrong. Not just wrong, but dangerous. His knowledge about Atlas's PTSD, his dramatic reaction to the dog's presence, his sudden concern for Emma's welfare after months of sporadic contact. The pieces don't form the picture of a caring father. They suggest something far more sinister. She's still awake when her phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Your ex-husband sends regards. We should meet soon. VK. Maria stares at the message until letters blur, understanding flooding through her like ice water. David didn't call from parental concern. He called because Vincent Kane instructed him to. Downstairs, Atlas raises his head from his position by the front door. His nose works as he processes scents carried on night air, exhaust from idling engines, cigarette smoke, and something else. Something that makes his training surge back despite trauma clouding his thoughts. the scent of danger, the scent of predators marking territory. Kane sits in his stolen vehicle 2 blocks away, observing Maria's house through night vision equipment. The phone call with David had exceeded expectations. Maria's ex-husband proved surprisingly easy to manipulate. A few mentions of Atlas's dangerous behavior, and David's protective instincts activated. Or perhaps it was the $5,000 Kane paid him. Either way, David would file for emergency custody tomorrow morning, citing safety concerns about the dog. While Maria fought to keep Emma, Kane would have all the time he needed to finalize his true plan. Bomb components wait in Kane's warehouse like deadly puzzle pieces: fertilizer, timing devices, pressure cookers, everything required to transform Children's Safety Week into a massacre that would dominate news cycles for months. But first, he needs to eliminate the one variable that could destroy everything: a broken-down police dog with a gift for finding explosives. Kane starts his engine and disappears into darkness, already planning Atlas's destruction. He doesn't notice the silhouette in the upstairs window: Maria Rodriguez, watching his taillights vanish, her service weapon in hand and murder in her heart. The war for Emma's future is about to begin. Not everyone will survive. 2 days later, the courthouse smells like justice deferred and hope postponed. Maria sits beside her attorney in family court, while David presents his case with polished confidence that comes from believing his own lies. "Your Honor," David's lawyer argues, "my client has legitimate concerns about his daughter's safety. The respondent has introduced an aggressive animal with documented psychological disorders into the child's living environment." Judge Patricia Williams reviews the emergency petition with detached efficiency. At 58, she's heard every sob story and empty promise desperate parents can manufacture. Her gray hair and steel-rimmed glasses give her the appearance of someone who decides children's fates daily without losing sleep. "Detective Rodriguez," Judge Williams addresses Maria directly, "how do you respond to these allegations?" Atlas is a decorated K-9 veteran with an exemplary service record. He suffers from post-traumatic stress related to his September 11th service. But he has never displayed aggression toward any child, ever. "But he has shown aggression toward adults?" Maria hesitates. Atlas's behavior toward David wasn't aggression. It was assessment. A trained protection dog evaluating potential threats. But explaining that would require revealing why Atlas was placed with her family, and Kane's plan depends on official secrecy. "He's protective, Your Honor. That's his training." Judge Williams makes notes that will determine Emma's immediate future. "Mr. Rodriguez has presented compelling evidence of safety concerns. I'm granting temporary custody to the father pending full psychological evaluation of both the animal and the living situation." "Your Honor," Maria begins. "Detective Rodriguez, I understand this is difficult, but this court's primary concern remains the child's welfare. You'll have supervised visitation this weekend." The gavel falls with thunder's finality. Emma waits in the courthouse hallway, clutching her backpack like armor. When Maria emerges, her daughter's face crumples with the devastating intuition children possess about adult disasters. "I don't want to go with Daddy. I know, sweetheart, but it's temporary. What about Atlas? Who will read to him?" Maria kneels to Emma's eye level, fighting tears that would only frighten her daughter more. "Atlas will be fine. He's stronger than you think." David approaches with victory written across his features and Emma's overnight bag in hand. "Ready to go, kiddo? Daddy has surprises waiting at his apartment." Emma looks between her parents with the solemn wisdom of a child forced to navigate adult warfare. "Can I say goodbye to Atlas?" The separation unfolds like a funeral dirge. Emma sits on the living room floor beside Atlas, whispering promises about returning soon while tears track down her cheeks. Atlas watches with confusion, his training unable to process why his small human is leaving. "I'll come back," Emma whispers into his fur. I promise I'll come back. Atlas knows something terrible is happening, but he can't understand abandonment. Protection dogs don't comprehend temporary custody or legal proceedings. They only know their pack is breaking apart. After they leave, Atlas searches every room, his movements growing increasingly agitated when Emma's scent trail doesn't lead to her hiding place. When he returns to the living room where Maria sits staring at nothing, his soft whine carries questions no human language can answer. "She's safe," Maria whispers, though she's not certain she believes it herself. That evening, Captain Morrison calls with news that transforms grief into determination. Kane's warehouse burned down 6 hours ago, conveniently right after the fire department received an anonymous tip about suspicious activities. By the time investigators arrived, everything was destroyed. Evidence gone. But Rodriguez, here's the critical detail. Surveillance cameras caught Kane leaving the warehouse 30 minutes before the fire started. He destroyed his own operation. Maria feels pieces clicking into place, like rounds loading into a chamber. He's accelerating his timeline. Exactly our assessment. Children's Safety Week is tomorrow. We're recommending cancellation. We can't. 300 families have planned their schedules around this event. Cancel now and we appear incompetent. Kane wins without firing a shot. Then we need Atlas operational. Can he perform? Maria looks at the German Shepherd lying by Emma's bedroom door, maintaining vigil for a little girl who won't return tonight. I don't know, but we're about to discover the answer. The next morning arrives with time's cruel indifference to human crisis. Maria dresses in her formal uniform, the same uniform she'll wear while speaking about community safety as a madman prepares to detonate explosives in a room full of children. Atlas observes her preparations with increasing alertness. He recognizes the uniform, the equipment check, the familiar rhythm of someone preparing for duty. When Maria clips his service lead to his collar, his transformation is immediate and complete. The traumatized rescue dog vanishes, replaced by a professional who's waited years for this moment. Washington Elementary buzzes with celebratory energy as families arrive for Children's Safety Week. The gymnasium has been decorated with colorful balloons and banners celebrating community partnerships. Police officers, firefighters, and paramedics operate demonstration stations where children can explore patrol cars, try on protective gear, and learn emergency preparedness. Maria scans the crowd with practiced eyes, cataloging exits and identifying potential threats among happy families. Somewhere in this wholesome gathering, Vincent Kane plans mass murder. Atlas moves beside her like a shadow, his nose working constantly as he sorts through thousands of scent signatures. Children approach eagerly, drawn to his impressive size and gentle demeanor. But Atlas remains focused on his mission. He's not here as a pet. He's here as a weapon against evil. 40 minutes into the event, Atlas's behavior changes dramatically. His ears perk forward, his stride quickens, and he begins pulling Maria toward the school's basement access. His training is taking control, following scent trails invisible to human senses. What is it, boy? What do you smell? Atlas leads her down maintenance corridors she didn't know existed, past storage rooms and mechanical equipment, deeper into the building's foundation. The scent trail grows stronger with each step, the distinctive chemical signature of explosive materials mixed with something else. Something Atlas recognizes from 5 years ago, when he first helped arrest Vincent Kane. The basement storage room door stands slightly ajar. Through the gap, Maria can see electronic components, wiring, and what appears to be a large pressure cooker connected to a digital timer. The display reads 52 minutes and counting. 52 minutes until 300 innocent people die. Maria keys her radio with trembling fingers. This is Rodriguez. I need the bomb squad at Washington Elementary immediately. We have a confirmed explosive device in the basement. Repeat, confirmed explosive device. Static crackles back. Rodriguez, bomb squad is 25 minutes out. Can you evacuate? 25 minutes. In 25 minutes, Kane's bomb will transform Children's Safety Week into national tragedy, and Maria's daughter will grow up knowing her mother failed to protect the community she swore to serve. Atlas, Maria whispers, can you do this? Can you help me stop this thing? Atlas moves toward the device with surgical precision. His nose works methodically, identifying components and connections. When he locates the primary detonator wire, he looks back at Maria with intelligent eyes that seem to communicate, I can disable this, but you must trust me completely. Maria's hands shake as she follows Atlas's guidance, using her tactical knife to cut wires he indicates. Each severed connection feels like diffusing two bombs simultaneously, the explosive device in the storage room and the trauma that's been destroying Atlas's mind since September 11th. With 18 minutes remaining on the timer, footsteps echo in the corridor outside. Maria draws her service weapon as Vincent Kane appears in the doorway, his scarred face twisted with rage and bitter disappointment. Detective Maria Rodriguez, Kane says as though her name tastes poisonous. You always did have impeccable timing. Kane holds a backup detonator in his left hand and a pistol in his right. His eyes are flat black voids of someone already dead inside, someone with absolutely nothing left to lose. Let me guess, Kane continues with deadly calm. The Wonder Dog led you here, same way he led you to my apartment 5 years ago. It's finished, Kane. Put down the detonator. Kane's laughter sounds like glass breaking in reverse. Finished? Lady, this hasn't even started yet. You destroyed my life, took away everything I loved. Now I return the favor with compound interest. Your daughter's death wasn't. Don't. Kane's voice drops to a whisper more terrifying than any shout. Don't you dare mention my daughter. She died while I was in your cage, and I couldn't even say goodbye. Couldn't hold her hand when the cancer finally won. Atlas moves almost imperceptibly, positioning himself between Kane and Maria. His training wars with his trauma, every instinct screaming attack while his PTSD freezes him with memories of explosions and death. You know what's beautiful about revenge, Rodriguez? It's infinitely patient. I've had 5 years to plan this moment. 5 years to imagine your face when you realize you can't save everyone who matters to you. Kane raises the detonator, his thumb hovering over the trigger mechanism. Even if you shoot me, this detonates. Even if your dog attacks me, this detonates. There's only one way to stop this bomb, for you to choose between saving the people upstairs or saving yourself. Maria realizes with crystal clarity that Kane has orchestrated this moment perfectly. The device is designed to explode if he releases the detonator, a dead man's switch ensuring his victory even in defeat. But Kane has made one critical miscalculation. He's underestimated what a broken soldier will do when the people he loves face annihilation. Atlas's PTSD becomes his greatest advantage. His hypersensitive hearing detects the electronic hum of timer mechanisms, the subtle vibration of Kane's thumb against the detonator button. Years of trauma have taught him to anticipate explosions, to read microscopic signs that precede devastation. When Kane's thumb begins lifting from the detonator, Atlas moves with guided missile precision. Not toward Kane, toward the detonator itself. The impact sends Kane sprawling, but it's too late. The backup device clatters across concrete, its trigger mechanism already released. For one heartbeat, the basement is silent, except for Atlas landing hard against the storage room wall. Then the world explodes. The blast isn't as devastating as Kane planned. Atlas's intervention disrupted the detonation sequence, causing only partial ignition of explosive materials. Still, the concussion wave hurls Maria against the corridor wall and fills the air with choking dust and debris. When the ringing in her ears subsides enough for coherent thought, Maria's first concern is Atlas. She finds him pinned beneath fallen ceiling tiles, his breathing shallow but steady. Blood darkens his fur, but his eyes remain alert and focused on her face. "Good boy," she whispers, though words feel inadequate for describing heroism of this magnitude. "Good boy!" Kane lies motionless beside the destroyed detonator, his neck bent at an angle that suggests Atlas's final act was more decisive than anyone intended. There will be no trial, no lengthy appeals, no opportunity for Kane to plan another revenge. Justice in this case has been swift and absolute. The bomb squad arrives to find the device disabled and Kane dead, with Maria and Atlas waiting in rubble like survivors of a war that almost happened. Investigation will reveal the full scope of Kane's plan, enough explosive materials to level half the school, carefully researched timing designed to maximize casualties, and a backup plan involving David's custody manipulation to remove Maria from the equation. David, confronted with evidence of his cooperation with a terrorist, confesses everything in exchange for reduced charges. His motivation was partly financial. Kane's promised payment would have solved his gambling debts, but mostly cowardice. He'd convinced himself that helping Kane protected Emma from an unstable situation, though his definition of unstable conveniently aligned with Kane's need for inside information. 4 days later, Emma runs across the hospital parking lot and launches herself into Maria's arms with fierce desperation of someone too young to understand how close she came to losing everything. "Is Atlas okay? Can we take him home?" Atlas emerges from the veterinary hospital wearing a cone of shame that somehow makes him appear more dignified rather than less. His ribs are bruised, his left leg requires several weeks of rest, but his spirit seems lighter than it's been in years. The explosion that should have destroyed him has somehow freed him from the prison of his own trauma. Emma drops to her knees beside Atlas and cups his face in her small hands. "Thank you for keeping everyone safe. You're the best dog in the whole world." Atlas licks her cheek with gentle precision, and Maria sees something in his eyes she hasn't witnessed since September 11th. Peace. Not the absence of memory, but the presence of purpose fulfilled. 3 weeks later, Children's Safety Week is rescheduled with Atlas as guest of honor. Principal Johnson presents him with a custom medal engraved Guardian Angel, while Emma reads a speech she wrote herself about courage and second chances. "Atlas taught me that being brave doesn't mean not being scared," Emma tells an audience of 300 families who owe their lives to a dog most had never heard of before this week. "It means doing what's right even when you are scared. It means protecting people even when you're hurt. And it means never giving up on love, even when love seems to give up on you." The standing ovation lasts 7 full minutes. Maria's speech about community safety takes on profound new meaning. She discusses recognizing heroes in unexpected forms, the importance of giving second chances to those who've served and suffered, and how love can heal even the deepest wounds. But mostly she talks about Atlas, not as a dog who saved lives, but as a family member who came home. Local news coverage transforms into regional attention, which becomes national media interest. Atlas's story goes viral with the hashtag #SecondChanceHero, inspiring thousands to adopt retired service animals and support PTSD treatment for both human and animal veterans. 6 months later, Maria finds herself testifying before Congress about mental health resources for retired military and police dogs. Atlas sits beside her in the witness chair, wearing his service medals and the quiet dignity of someone who's found his place in the world. Emma, now 9, starts a school project called Forgotten Heroes that matches traumatized service animals with understanding families. Her first success story involves a retired bomb dog named Titan who finds a new home with a veteran family in Ohio. Atlas lives to be 14 years old, 7 years beyond the day Maria found him broken in the animal shelter. He spends those years as Emma's constant companion, reading partner, confidant, and protector. He never experiences another PTSD episode, as if saving those 300 people saved him as well. When Atlas finally closes his eyes for the last time, he's surrounded by the family he chose and who chose him back. Emma holds his head while Maria strokes his side, both whispering words of love and gratitude for the 7 years he gave them after the world gave up on him. His memorial service draws hundreds, police officers, firefighters, military veterans, and families who remember the day a forgotten dog reminded them that heroes come in all forms. His headstone reads simply, Atlas, Guardian, Hero, Family. But Emma insists on one additional line, love never surrenders. Years later, when Emma becomes a veterinarian specializing in animal PTSD, she keeps Atlas's photograph beside her diploma. When patients' families ask about the German Shepherd in the picture, she tells them about the forgotten guardian who taught her that second chances aren't just gifts we give others, they're the foundation for building better versions of ourselves. Sometimes the greatest heroes are those who never stop believing in the people they love, even when those people stop believing in themselves. And sometimes saving others is exactly how we save ourselves.